The cars are lining up on the grid in preparation for the sprint race here at Eastern Creek. Pretty much ideal conditions. There's Team China, one of the best qualifiers of that session. They're sixth on the grid. Let's see how everybody lines up for this race at Eastern Creek in Sydney. On pole position then, it is Germany, their second pole position in a row in a sprint race, but alongside its great rival New Zealand. On the second row, Great Britain and France. They could push hard in the opening laps. We've got Switzerland and China on the third row of the grid. On row 4, it's USA and the Netherlands. The fifth row, Ireland and Malaysia. Canada and the Czech Republic back on row 6. Then on row 7, it's Italy and Mexico. Row number 8, Indonesia and Singapore. Behind them, we've got South Africa with plenty of work to do from 17th. Australia 18th as well, home nation with lots to do. Then it's Lebanon, Brazil, India, and bringing up the rear, it's Nur Ali for Pakistan. That's how the 22 nations are all set to start the sprint race here. Riding on board Team Germany, right in behind the safety car. Nico Hülkenberg has to dictate the pace a little bit once the safety car goes in. Those tyres, he's trying to keep as clean as possible.
Yeah, you can see he's got a little bit of pickup on the inside shoulder of that right front tyre. Now when he gets up to race speed, that will disappear, but it is there. And of course that means that he's not going to get the maximum grip levels from those tyres until he gets maybe completed one full racing lap.
So it's a good slow pace. The safety car has certainly set a good pace for them to come around onto the straight, and there's a good long straight here which should give them plenty of time. They certainly are getting into formation very early this time, looking side by side, and that's what the starter will want to see. Peter Riches, who actually will control the start, he will want to see them absolutely lined up perfectly before he gives the signal and the red lights go off. They are all pretty close together. Safety car peels off. Germany keeps the pace very, very, very slow, which is interesting. And now he makes the break. He's on the power, and Team Germany goes for it, and everyone else is racing in the Netherlands, trying to go down the outside of Team France into the first corner, can't do it, and it's Germany that leads from New Zealand in second place, Great Britain in third, France in fourth, and the battle behind as the Netherlands is going to have a little look. No, Team Ireland also having a look in the inside.
But as Team GBR trying to go around the outside, they're side by side, and Team GBR's taken, said no he hasn't, I thought he had, side by side through 3 contact. The 2 cars coming into turn 4, again side by side, but New Zealand has to concede.
Great Britain up into second place, New Zealand squeezed out of it by Team GBR, but this is giving Team Germany a bit of a break. France still in fourth, then Switzerland, the Netherlands, China, Malaysia and USA. Amazingly, John, I think they all got through turns 1 and 2 safely.
Well, all I can say, congratulations. We've got the field halfway round, no contact, well, light contact between New Zealand and GBR coming out of turn 3, but nothing of any consequence.
So they're all in one piece, and now it's a question of trying to pick up the pieces. 15 laps this sprint race, and Team Germany already beginning to make a break. But Robbie Kerr for Team Great Britain into second place, and he had a very fast car in practice. New Zealand back to third, France in fourth, and then the rest of them all fighting for position. Czech Republic's gained a couple of places on the start. Thomas Enger, you can just see him there, up into 10th. He started in 12th, so that was a good first lap. For Enger, he's ahead of Team Ireland. Richard Lyons behind in 11th.
So the field now getting strung out. Germany a clear advantage over a second and a half, or just under a second and a half, as they come across the start-finish line. There is the gap. New Zealand looking to come back down the inside. He's coming from a long, long way back, and really there was no chance of taking that corner once Robbie Kerr had committed to it.
That's right, so there was no way through that time. Canada's a long way back. Canada in behind Singapore there, which is a bit of a surprise. So 14th place for Canada. He had a bit of a poor first lap. Mexico in behind Ireland, so Mexico running 11th. And we've got off India, and Suraswaran, he's making his debut for Team India this weekend, and obviously having a bit of a mishap on this second lap, and he made it okay around the first one. Czech Republic and USA racing hard.
Yeah, Czech Republic is going to push the USA extremely hard. Thomas Enger really in his environment now in the race rather than going through the procedure of qualifying.
So further down the order, we've got Italy running 15th, Australia is in 16th place, and then Brazil in 17th position, followed by Indonesia, South Africa, Lebanon, Pakistan, and as we know, India's at the back now, having run off the road on that second lap. Things just beginning to settle down a fraction. Lead last time for Hülkenberg was 1.4 seconds. We're riding on board the Czech car now, Czech Republic. Thomas Enger, experience versus Team USA, another fairly experienced driver in Phil Giebler, but it's going to be hard to find a way past in this short distance sprint race.
Well, they all filed through turn 1 into turn 2. Again, New Zealand not this time. But look at the back. China, it took a big swing out to the inside of the corner to maybe try and intimidate the Netherlands. Didn't work. Pulled back into lining up. But this is a battle between China in 7th, Netherlands in 6th, and this is going to get intense.
Yeah, this is good stuff between the Netherlands, Jeroen Bleekemolen in the orange car, and of course the red and yellow Team China entry. China going well here in 7th, lost 1 place from his starting position, but nonetheless in the hunt. That is for the final point in the sprint race. You only get points down to 6th place in this one. Let's take a look back at the start again. Very slow initially, wasn't it? And
yes.
Then Hulkenberg went for it.
Yes, and we didn't see the start lights go out, but Hulkenberg clearly got the advantage. He's the driver that controls the pack, and he got on it and took the advantage of New Zealand. But it was Robbie Kerr who took a very brave run around the outside of turn 2 and went side by side with New Zealand round turn 3. This is the run down. Watch what he does late on the brakes. He can afford to go deeper because he's going around the outside. He finds grip on the outside of the corner. They're virtually touching all the way around. Now Kerr's got the advantage on the inside. That's a repeat of what happened a lap ago to India.
Yeah, so that was a great move by Great Britain up into 2nd place, but it's no stopping Team Germany now with a 2.1 second lead. Hulkenberg absolutely storming away at the front here. Great Britain in 2nd place, New Zealand in 3rd, France in 4th, then it's Switzerland, the Netherlands, China, Malaysia in 8th, USA 9th, Czech Republic 10th.
And there's already a new lap record for Germany as Ireland and Mexico into turn 2. New lap record for Germany on the 2nd flying lap.
Impressive stuff indeed. We're sitting behind Italy here with Australia running in 16th position, tucked in behind Team Italy, and just trying to gain a little bit more pace, a little bit more to move them up the order for the feature race.
And look how hard Karl Reindler's having to work in the Australian entries on the steering wheel. It's again an illustration of a car that isn't working for the driver, whereas you contrast that to what we might see on board with New Zealand or with Germany, totally different cars.
So Australia hoping he can gain a bit more here. 16th place at the moment, Italy in 15th, up ahead of them, Canada 14th, and Singapore in 13th. So Singapore gained some 3 places from their original starting position. Christian Murchison, perhaps using his track knowledge, he knows this place well from having raced extensively in Australia in his younger, more developing days, and he's made the full use of that. But he doesn't seem to be able to stay with Ireland and Mexico just ahead of him. Across the line they come then with 11 laps to go, and it's still Germany out front and pulling away from the rest as we keep an eye on these battles behind.
Well, there's the power boost buttons. Most have only used it once, Germany once, Netherlands once, China once. You see Ireland, and they've used it quite a lot as well, so no.
Yeah, well, we'll see. They only get 4 uses of power boost in this sprint race as opposed to 8. Ooh, Singapore's car really moving around now.
Yeah, the pressure coming from behind, and Christian Murchison really getting on the gas. He's got James Hinchcliffe for Canada all over the back of that car. And look at Hinchcliffe right on the power coming out of turn 4, sliding the car, just trying to pick up the maximum drive off turn 4.
Now the tyres will have given up their best, but it's up to the drivers to look after those tyres and keep the car under them, as they would say. It means hoping that they can get the grip out of the tyres for the entire race distance. If you overdrive the car, the tyres' grip will go away far faster, and by the end of the race, the car really will be sliding all over the place. On board with Thomas Enger, probably as good as anybody out here from his sports car experience of looking after the tyres and having a fast car towards the end of a race.
Well, the big difference between Thomas Enger and Phil Giebler is that Thomas Enger weighs a bit more, and even in racing cars like this, if you've got a weight disadvantage, in other words, you weigh more than the car ahead of you, that also has a contribution.
He's on the button, the little green button flashing at the bottom of the screen. Czech Republic, extra 30 horsepower all the way down the straight, but then he's got to lift, ease off for turn 1, and as soon as you do that, the power boost is out of operation.
And that's confirmation that not everybody is going through turn 1 flat out.
This has certainly allowed him to close up to USA at turn 2, but it's not enough to actually get alongside. So he'll have to think of something else there, Thomas Enger. Back with Australia and really attacking Team Italy. Karl Reindler going for it.
Yeah, but it is hard work for Australia. The work on the steering wheel from Karl Reindler clearly illustrates that that car is not as easy a car to drive as others. And for the much more experienced Enrico Toccocella, well, he'll see the car in his mirrors. I don't think he's going to be particularly worried about Australia being just directly behind him.
10 laps to go in this short sprint race. He closes up a little bit there, but again runs wide in the middle of the corner. Loses out a fraction on the exit as they climb uphill and into the left-hander at turn 8, then dropping back down the hill again. Easy to lock the brakes, we've seen it here at turn 9. Italy taking a deeper line in. Australian car looks pretty good on turn in there and not running too wide on the exit, but there's no way to get alongside in this short straight leading to the final sequence of bends.
No, the only place you can get any overtaking reality is into turn 2. Unless another driver makes an error, then you get the momentum to get alongside, and you really do have to be alongside. To take a long punt from behind and slide it up the inside isn't going to happen.
Team Lebanon's got off on the exit of turn 8, and it's on the grass. There's Alex Khatib jumping out of the car. Front damage, I think.
Well, he did what we saw most drivers who went off in that corner. He probably ran too wide. He's got the nose cone. As you see there, the Lebanon fans, they're jumping up. Well, they know they're on TV, that's why they're jumping out.
Yeah, unfortunately, their man's out of the race. Maybe they haven't realised that yet. Team Germany leads very, very comfortably here in the sprint race. His last lap at 20.1, and that was nearly a second faster than Great Britain's last lap. So very impressive pace being set by Nico Hülkenberg. Once again, John, this guy is such a star. In the papers here, they're referring to him as the new Michael Schumacher, and he's sort of showing that again, and Great Britain's got some pressure here.
Yes, there is pressure. I noticed coming out of turn 8 that Team GBR's car was starting to slide. The tail was going out and out and out, and that means two things. One, he's got a car whose balance maybe is not as good at this part of the race as he had hoped. Safety car.
Safety car has been called for by the race director. That is going to stack them all up together, and it must be as a result of the Lebanese car off at the side of the road. So the yellow flags are out, the safety car is on circuit, they all have to slow down.
And more importantly, the safety car is going to pick up the race leader. So it's always been an issue when the safety cars are deployed. Do they pick up the leader, or then do they just go straight out on track when they've picked up the leader? So this field will once again close back up behind Nico Hülkenberg. That's frustration for the young German driver who pulled out a 4-second advantage over Team GBR, and GBR was under extreme pressure from New Zealand. So it looks like the New Zealand car now is able to turn the screw at Robbie Kerr, and that'll be interesting in the closing laps. We've got 8 laps to go, but it might be a couple of laps before we get the Lebanon car pulled to safety.
Yeah, it's obviously there's a lot of bits here, so I thought the front was damaged. Those are bits of front wing that you can see up against the concrete wall.
And that was a fairly major hit because he came out of turn 8, and I think he put a wheel off on the outside of the corner, and it just speared him across the racetrack, virtually nose into the bowl. Now, we saw a shunt from Alex Khatib in the sprint race in Taupo when he ran right at the back of Singapore. He is a young man who has not got a lot of experience. He has got natural speed, and there is Alex Khatib with the medical workers. They want to have a look at him and make sure there's no damage to his neck. He would have had a fairly large whiplash, but that HANDS device, the piece of carbon fibre that goes over the driver's shoulder to protect the driver's head and neck in an impact, clearly will have done a good job.
So they're going to have to get that car out of the way. As you say, it might take a moment or two, and it did look like it had been a hard hit. Whether they're going to be able to get that car repaired, well, they've got a bit of time between the two races, and the Lebanon team always very, very quick to set to work and get stuff fixed, but we'll have to see what the level of damage is when they get it back to the pit lane. Just riding with Karl Reindler, everything a little calmer now in this safety car period. He's in 16th place. Let's get down to the pits. Simon Hill is with Khalil Bashir of Lebanon.
Khalil, has Alex radioed in and told you what happened?
No, we just heard he had some problems. We didn't know what was the really problem. And suddenly we saw the car out. It looks like we lost the front wing, but we cannot check. The car will come back, and hopefully we'll be ready for the second race.
Thanks, Khalil.
Thank you.
So there's the front end damage, and obviously it's wiped out the nose cone, but has it damaged the monocoque? That's always the question.
Well, part of the nose cone is actually a crash deformable structure, and I mean, he probably hit it pretty much head on, and then of course it would have been immediately deflected off. So a lot of the damage would have been contained within that nose cone, and also the bits that fell off, that dissipates a lot of the energy as well. So I suspect the damage is contained pretty much in that nose cone area. It'll just really be a matter of whether the mountings in the chassis for that nose cone, whether they've been damaged, but it looks like the suspension. Maybe he clipped one of the rears. I think there's maybe a slight adjustment on one of the rear wheels, which will mean that the car will have to get a rear suspension change.
On board the safety car, and Scott Stringfellow driving the safety car around. He didn't get much to do last time out in New Zealand, but this time he's been called on fairly early on with the sprint race here. Half distance in the sprint race we're at now, and it will be coming in, the safety car in on this lap apparently, so we'll see the lights go out fairly soon.
So again, an opportunity for the field, but particularly for Team New Zealand to repay that overtaking manoeuvre. There's the incident. We didn't catch it as it happens, but that was a pretty high-speed incident for Alex Khatib, and I think there is a bit of damage to that right rear, as well as obviously the damage to the nose and all around that front of the car.
Yeah, that was a lot of big dust cloud, which indicates it was a fairly fast off, wasn't it? But maybe we'll see later on exactly what happened. So now everybody just slowing the pace down. Safety car is due in. It's up to Hulkenberg for Team Germany to dictate the pace. But what about Great Britain? There's James Robinson, head of engineering for Team GBR. What's he going to say to Robbie to see if he can attack? Here goes Hulkenberg, he's on it straight away.
But of course you can't overtake until you've gone across the start-finish line. So New Zealand, all they can hope to do is get right under the rear wing. But then of course they lose downforce. There he is under the rear wing. Can he pass? He's just about got away with that one.
That was good timing by Johnny Reid. He's got back in front of Team GBR. Team GBR did not... Oh, and he was wide on the curve there. Just about saved it. Great restart by New Zealand.
France now looking to get it past Team GBR. The GBR car clearly has lost rear end grip. You can see Robbie Kerr, the car sliding around. Now Loic Duval in the French car trying to get alongside. Can't do it into 4. Sebastian Buemi doing the same thing for Switzerland in 5th.
Yep, and they've got the Netherlands close behind as well. All of the cars bunched up by the safety car. So again, that British car sliding around.
Whatever they've done, the car appears to have lost all that excellent balance it had. We saw on Saturday morning when the car was really about as good as it gets in race conditions.
So New Zealand have reclaimed that second place that they had on the grid. It's now Germany versus New Zealand, and Germany may not find it so easy to pull away. France again, very, very close to the back of the British car, and Switzerland as well.
And Sebastian Buemi from Switzerland really looking to shadow every move that France are making. If France goes, believe me, Switzerland's going to go as well.
Yeah, it's going to be very tight. And Great Britain, I think Robbie Kerr is going to be fighting them off. Well, he did it in Taupo with a damaged front wing. It ain't going to be easy to pass him.
Well, I think he's going to struggle because he can't get off the corner. He got off a little bit better than France did, so he's used it. France, no more power boost. It's gone. GB has got 2 more shots.
Look how France catches up towards turn 1. Almost runs into the back of Great Britain. He's so fast there. But now this is where he needs to be fast. Into turn 2, and Loic Duval for France going for it, and Buemi following him.
But France trying to do what Britain did early in the lap. Oh, Robbie, the car really it's gone completely inconsistent.
Yeah, he's sliding all over the place, finding it very hard to hold his line. And it's giving France every opportunity to try and draw alongside. But as you say, Buemi for Switzerland will take advantage if he can.
Indeed, what really Duval and Buemi have got to do is be patient, not try and get it all done at the one time. Robbie Kerr is in trouble, and it will be a matter of not if but when.
It looks so bad to me, John. It almost makes me wonder whether he's got a slow puncture or something. Through some of the corners, the car is a real handful. The tyres looked as though they're holding up okay.
Yes, I think I noticed this the lap prior to the incident of this turn 8. The car was sliding a lot coming off turn 8, and that was when Johnny Reid started to zero in on the back of that Team GBR car. It looks like it's getting worse, and Robbie Kerr has got a real handful on his hands, not just with the car, but of course the battle behind him for that second place with New Zealand and Switzerland.
There were no other changes on that restart. The only change was New Zealand passing Great Britain for second place, but it's France on the attack once again. Everyone else in line astern as they were before the safety car came out. This is where France is very quick into turn 1, and also Malaysia attacking China, and Ireland with the Czech Republic there trying to take 10th place. But here comes France down the inside, and France into 3rd place now, getting past Great Britain. Great Britain trying to claim it back on the exit, can't do it, and now he's going to have to defend from Switzerland. In the background, was there any change? I don't think there was. I think they stayed pretty much as they were. China still in 7th, Malaysia 8th, USA 9th, and Czech Republic 10th. We've just had some news from the pits, John.
Yes, we're hearing that Robbie Kerr does, as you pointed out, Ben. He has a slow puncture. The car is not anywhere near the way as good as the car was, and if you've got a slow puncture on one wheel, particularly if it's the right rear, which is what I think it is, because the car looks to be a lot less stable in right-hand corners, and in particular in turn 1. That's where we saw France overrunning Team GBR previously on 2 laps, eventually into turn 1. That's when the pass took place.
On board with Australia, and Australia's part of this huge battle that really goes all the way up to 7th place, but Australia's at the back of it, so he's in 16th place, is Karl Reindler, with lots to do, but he's got one of the toughest to pass. That's Enrico Toccacella for Italy, right ahead of him, the blue car.
Oh, he's got a chance. Yes, indeed, Toccacella was defending. He tried to get back, but good job from Karl Reindler. He read that situation. Turn 10 caught out Italy, and Reindler for Australia took advantage.
Great pass by Team Australia.
Robbie Kerr.
Did he? I didn't
He
see
locked
that.
the front brake up going into turn one. I don't know why he did that. Well, that's the reason why. But all of a sudden, he slammed on the brakes. I've never, ever seen that driver do that before. Whatever the problem for Team GBR is, he slammed on the brake. It looks like he's got a puncture somewhere, and that is the right front. That's the reason why we thought it was the right rear, but it must have been the right front. He just locked the brakes on. This is going back to what happened with Australia and Italy.
Yeah, this was a good pass. Italy made the little mistake, ran a fraction wide, and Reindler was there. As soon as the gap was opened up, he put the car on the inside. Great move by Reindler. It's gained him 15th place. Might not be a huge amount, but there's been very few overtaking opportunities in this race. You've got to grab them when they come, and that's what Reindler did. South Africa still behind him. They're still down in 17th place, South Africa. Alan van der Merwe's not been able to make much progress here. He's got Indonesia and India behind him, but otherwise they're struggling. Maybe they haven't found something on the car that's not quite right, because it's unusual to see them that far back.
Interesting, the field much more compacted after the restart of the safety car than it was at the start of the race proper.
So Switzerland now, with the demise of Great Britain, Switzerland is now 4th, Netherlands now 5th, and that brings China back up into the points in 6th position. That's where they started from, remember, on the grid. They lost 1 place off the line, but now China into 6th, Malaysia 7th, then it's USA 8th, Czech Republic 9th, Ireland 10th, Mexico 11th, Singapore 12th, and then behind Singapore it's Canada and Australia.
Oh, Pakistan at the exit of turn 8. Noor Ali, now this may also see a safety car deployed, but we've only got 40 seconds, so this race is going to run this distance. Robbie Kerr tragically drives into the pits with that right front puncture, and not only has he got a puncture, but it means he will start, possibly he'll be the last on the grid for the future race.
Great Britain's hopes to win A1GP in the second season really have disappeared down under, because they scored no points in New Zealand. They have failed to score in the sprint race. They'll start at the back of the feature race, and really it's all gone disastrously wrong from their point of view.
Yeah, with 10 seconds of this race remaining, and they're on their 14th lap, so we're not going to get the full 15 laps. That, of course, is down to the deployment of the safety car.
So, yeah, the safety car not out for Pakistan, but as you say, they're on their final lap. The sprint race has brought dramas again here, but there's been no dramas at all. For the man who started on pole position, Team Germany come through, and they are going to record their 5th win of the season. Fantastic again from Nico Hulkenberg. New Zealand did well to reclaim 2nd after a fraught battle with GBR. 3rd place goes to Team France, and then it's in 4th, it's Switzerland. Again, just missing out on a podium. Paul Sebastian Buemi, he's got close the last couple of times. Behind Switzerland, it's Netherlands, China, Malaysia, USA, the Czech Republic in 9th, Ireland in 10th, then Mexico, Singapore, Canada, Australia 14th, Italy 15th, South Africa 16th, Indonesia 17th, and then we should see India home in 18th place. And Nico Hulkenberg really celebrating now on the slow-down lap. Yet another victory. There's poor old Noor Ali, still stranded on the curb. He hasn't been moved yet. Good effort from Karl Reindler, particularly to take that place from Italy. But it's Germany and New Zealand who celebrate the 1-2. Team France bringing home a useful 3rd position, but poor old Great Britain losing out as a result of that slow puncture when it looked as though they were certainly going to be on the podium, if nothing else. Nico Hulkenberg getting very used to this feeling. 2 wins in New Zealand, backed up now with a 3rd victory. And it's Robbie Bennett to make the presentation. He's the CEO of Professional Investment Services. The bronze medal going to Loic Duval. So that means that he's finished every race he's contested so far on the podium. New Zealand getting another important podium finish. Remember, the battle for 2nd in the points between France and New Zealand is still very, very close. France will still just be in 2nd place, New Zealand in 3rd, but it's Hulkenberg who can celebrate victory. Another perfect performance from Team Germany, from their driver, Nico Hulkenberg, but also from the whole crew. Managed to get that car working absolutely perfectly again. Here's Lee.
Nico, was that as easy as it looked?
No, definitely not. I mean, I had a good rolling start, good restart after the safety car, but then it was not that easy. I just tried to focus on myself and push as hard as I could. But first Johnny and before GBR was pushing from behind.
Confirmation of the result then. Germany taking the victory from New Zealand and France. A fine 4th for Switzerland. and the Netherlands taking 5th ahead of China, Malaysia, then the United States in 8th place, the Czech Republic, who gained on their original qualifying performance, in 9th, and Ireland, who finished in 10th place, but remember, only the top 6 scoring points in the sprint race. 11th to Mexico, Singapore in 12th, then Canada, Australia and Italy. South Africa didn't make much progress from 16th. The 17th, Indonesia, India in 18th place, and then those out of luck. Great Britain, of course, in the pits, Pakistan stranded. Brazil had fuel pump problems, Lebanon had the accident, but Germany not only taking the win, but the fastest lap as well.